My condolences and best wishes to the people all across our great South who have endured deadly tornadoes and other severe weather in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina. My administration will do everything possible to help those communities get back on their feet. We're speaking with the governors and representatives. FEMA's already on its way, and they got there as soon as we heard the word. I said, get out there. So FEMA's there, and you know the great job that FEMA does. It's really something very special. So we just want to say warmest condolences, and we're with you all the way. It's a tough deal. That was a bad level 5. That was a bad group. That's as high as it gets. It's a bad grouping of tornadoes. Something that's something incredible. The power, the horrible, destructive power. America is continuing to make critical progress in our war against the virus. Over the weekend, the number of daily new infections remained flat. Nationwide, flat. Hospitalizations are slowing in hotspots like New York, New Jersey, Michigan, and Louisiana. This is clear evidence that our aggressive strategy to combat the virus is working and that Americans are following the guidelines. It's been incredible what they've done. You looked at the charts, and the charts are, and the models from early on predictions where 100 and 120,000 people looked like if they did well, they were going to unfortunately perish. And we're going to be hopefully way below that number. So that will be a sign of people doing things right, but it's still just a horrible thing all over the world. 184 countries. This is all a tribute to our wonderful healthcare advisors and experts who have been with us right from the beginning. We appreciate it so much. In fact, Dr. Fauci's here. Maybe I could ask Tony to say a few words before we go any further. Thank you very much. Tony, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things, and then I just want to make a comment about something that happened yesterday. You're going to hear from Dr. Birx soon about the numbers that we've been talking about, how things are starting to balance off. And I think the more as we go by each day, I think we're going to see, and again, I never like to get ahead of myself or of Dr. Birx, but it was a bad week last week. Remember when I was speaking to you before, I was saying this was really a bad week. There's still going to be a lot of deaths, but we're starting to see in some areas now that kind of flattening, particularly in a place that was a hot spot like New York. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I had a really very productive conversation with the Congressional Black Caucus this morning for about an hour, and they really wanted to know what exactly them that what we have to do is focus on getting the resources where the vulnerable are to be able to get testing done, to be able to get the appropriate identification where proper and where appropriate to isolate and contact trace if we can, but also to help mitigate in a community that is suffering. Yesterday, that I was asked a hypothetical question. And hypothetical questions sometimes can get you into some. I know and what my recommendations were, but clearly, as happens all the time, there were interpretations of that response to a hypothetical question that I just thought it would be very nice for me to clarify because I didn't have the chance to clarify it. Thank you. The date. You know, to be honest with you, I don't even remember what the date was, but I can just tell you the first and only time that I went in and said we should do mitigation strongly, the response was yes, we'll do it.
And what did you do? Was that the travel restrictions?
No, the travel restriction is separate. That was whether or not we wanted to go into a mitigation stage of 15 days of mitigation. The travel was another recommendation. When we went in and said we probably should be doing that, and the answer was yes. And then another time was we should do it with Europe, and the answer was yes. And the next time we should do it with the UK, and the answer was yes.
In this interview, you said there was pushback.
Yeah.
Where did that pushback come from?
No, it wasn't. That was the wrong choice of words. You know what it was? When people discuss.
So on January 6th, that's long before the dates you're talking about, there were CDC issued a travel notice for Wuhan, China, a notice, before there was even a confirmed case of the virus in the United States. That's on January 6th. It's all documented. because we have so much fake news, I like to document things. January 6th, long before the dates we're talking about, CDC issued travel notice to Wuhan, for Wuhan. On January 11th, we have 0 cases in the United States. 0. We don't have any cases. So there are no cases reported that we know of. This is January 11th. The CDC issued a level 1 travel notice for health, while there were still no confirmed cases. So